All right, guys, welcome back to Left Seat, Right Seat. This week it's just Jeff and I, and we're talking about martial arts and how that can uh, help keep you focused and disciplined, and give you all the things that you might be missing from when you were in the military. So, I mean, and for me, my background is I've done a ton of martial arts, Keto, jiu-jitsu, karate, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, a lot. I mean, stick fighting, like, I've done a lot of things. And I'm currently a Muay Thai instructor still at this moment. And I've fought and competed in many of these different martial arts, latest being Muay Thai. Um, and I just haven't, and pardon me, and doing all these martial arts, I've realized how closer structured it is to the military, and Jeff himself has done a lot of martial arts. So Jeff, if you want to go ahead and speak on your knowledge of the subject. So.
Yeah. Since I was a kid, I've done a few different martial arts, quite a few different places, honestly. So I started out doing taekwondo. A lot of it wasn't formalized when I was a kid. It was just someone we would know, and they would, go to a gym.
All right.
Did some different Korean martial arts, like a Korean kung fu, which was super practical, but turned out I guess it was a cult and was shut down at one point. Sounds weird, I know, but I didn't get far enough to even know what that was. It was just practical stuff for me. Got to college and was doing taekwondo, karate, and jiu-jitsu prior to the MMA stuff. It was stand-up jiu-jitsu, and was learning from a Vietnam vet. And I was already geared towards going to the Army anyway, so he and I used to talk a lot about different stuff. And I've never been able to find him since I got out of the military, but I keep looking for him, guy, just to say thanks. And then after I honestly, in the military, I didn't get a lot of self-defense training, just doing what we did, dust off stuff. We just didn't happen necessarily. I remember doing bayonet training, rifle butts to the faces type stuff. And so there was that. But when I got out, I've moved a lot, so I've been to a lot of different places since then, and evaluated places. Chose not to do it for different reasons. So, I don't know if CJ and I melded on this back in the day or not, but we've both done a lot of different stuff with that, and we think it's a positive thing once you get out for many different reasons, which we'll discuss. But yeah, martial arts is a good thing to do.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, so starting with me, like once I got out, I didn't really do much. Like I got out, went straight to school, and my school was all day, every day. And I was hitting the gym, about 3 hours a day once I first got out, because me and my buddy were there and we were hitting the gym, so I was staying in shape. And then finals came around, and I was like, all right, maybe just 1 hour a day at the gym, And then I got a girlfriend, and then that was like, okay, I can do some time at the gym, until she started complaining she was missing me because of school and of had me working out. So my gym time went down, and I put on, like, I would call the girlfriend like 30. It's even worse than the freshman 40. Or
wait till you get married.
Yeah, the freshman 10 or whatever. All right, yeah. Haven't gotten that experience yet, but and then I started working, and it just and I just didn't have the time anymore to work out. But then when I was working, I met back up with one of my friends, and he got me into this gym called 5 Star Martial Arts down here in LA, and it was really good, and I loved it, and it brought me back because, like Jeff said, like prior to going into the military, I was doing a lot of different martial arts, like Aikido and Hapkido and karate. And I took Taekwondo for a little bit, but I think I went to the wrong gym for Taekwondo, because it was more training for like point sparring and stuff like that, and you weren't really kicking hard. You were just like, hey, just tap them in the chest to get some points, or tap them here to get points. And
Yeah, it wasn't old school.
yeah, so yeah, exactly. It wasn't the old school. So that was what it was. But
Yeah, they weren't teaching you to kick Mongols off of horses, right?
right, not at all. Yeah,
That'd be super old school.
right. Yeah, right. So, uh,
So you went at this gym. Is that where you started Muay Thai?
no, well, I started Muay Thai when I was actually in the Army.
Oh, you did.
Actually, at Fort Bragg, there was a place, I forget the name of the city, but it was like 20, 30 minutes away from the barracks, from the base.
So that's a commitment.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we used to go. It was me and Goat, if you remember him. Me and him used to go all the time.
Okay.
And he found the place because it was right by his house, because he lived off post, so it was like 10 minutes away from his house, but his house was also like 15 minutes away from post. So so we went there and we started found it, and I liked it, and it brought me back because we also went to a kung fu place, but they were like sketchy on like who they were bringing into the club or the gym or whatever. They're like, you have to go get interviewed, and we're like, I'm not even gonna be here half the time because I'm gonna be TDY. So
Right.
we're not gonna make it in your club or in your dojo gym, because we're gonna be gone for most of the time. So yeah, we went to this guy, and it was literally, he was a guy that opened a dojo in the back of his house, like garage. He converted like his monster garage into a dojo, and he had bags and weights, and he had the mats and everything else, and he was like a legitimate ranked Muay Thai fighter. So
Like, did he go overseas and do stuff, or?
yeah, he went overseas, did some stuff, and he even did like some of the tough men competitions down in Florida. When you go in the ring and you fight like 6 dudes at one time, like the old school like pre-UFC jazz that was going on. So he did a couple of those, won a few of those as well. He was like on a whole bunch of different magazines. So that's what started me into Muay Thai.
Okay.
So then once I got out of the Army and I was doing all that stuff and I was working, now this was like close to about 5 years since I've been out the military. And there was always still that something missing, right? When you're out, there's always that something missing. So once I started back my martial arts deal, and for me, like jiu-jitsu, I was like, nobody's ever going to get me to the ground. Nobody's taking me down. So I don't need to do that. And I could have been doing jiu-jitsu since high school, because they opened up a Gracie school, like literally 5 minutes walk from my house. And I was doing Aikido at the time, and like a dummy and a young, stupid kid, I was like, nobody's getting me to the ground. It doesn't matter, right? So even like the wrestlers at school, they would joke around and be like, hey, what's going on? We're going to take you down. And I'd be like, you're too funny. But once I started back there, they had the Muay Thai, and I was like, great. I've got like 2 or 3 years of Muay Thai on my belt now. Let me go in here and start training again. And it was so much fun. And then I started doing the jiu-jitsu because it was there and it was offered. And I was like, well, I never did it, but let me go ahead and get in on that. And I tried it out, and I fell in love with it, because it's kind of a dumb mentality that I had. And
Right. No, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. Yeah. And it's, and even like with Aikido, like they turn you, if you get knocked to the ground, here's how to get up and get back out. Right. So I was like, all right, I can get back up. Nobody's keeping me on the ground. Yeah. That's not the case. Like jiu-jitsu,
ground jiu-jitsu, rude awakening.
Yeah, ground. Yeah, you go in as a white belt, and you're like, okay. I mean, you start on the ground anyways, but to get back up to your feet, and it's tough if you're fighting like even a blue belt, like, or a higher ranking white belt, like a 4 stripe white belt. If it's like you're in there, even if you know things, like you're trying to stand back up, and you're like, oh my god, I can't. All right. Like just the holes and the locks and everything else are very specific to the ground, and it's really good to know.
And it's humbling, right?
It's yeah, very humbling, very humbling. Because I'm like I said before I went in, I was like, you can't hold me down. What? Oh, dang, I can't get to my feet. What's going on? You know. So there's that. I mean, but once I got out and I started back the Muay Thai and everything else with the at 5-star, I realized that I found something that I was missing. Well, not everything, but part of the thing that was missing, right? Like I had a lot of it to do like with the camaraderie with everybody that's there.
Sure.
You know, you get in there and it's kind of similar to being in basic or even going to the field or doing whatever. Like not even
It's structured, right?
Well, the structured is that too, but I'm thinking more for like the camaraderie, right? Like,
okay,
because when you're in the army, what do? You train together, right? And when you train together, you build like that bond and that friendship, right? So even with here, right, we were training together all the time. When you're doing sparring or whatnot, like you're training together and you're building that bond. And no, you're not like blowing stuff up or shooting things, right, or jumping over walls and like helping each other out or whatever in that way, but you're training each other and you're training each other to get better. So you build that like camaraderie and that bond that you get from when you were in the military, right?
Sure.
And then as you go along, like you're like, oh, it gets better and you have more people to train with and more more things to learn and more things to train on and everything else. And
More opportunity, right?
right.
So a lot of vets, like they get out of the military and they lose that camaraderie. They miss
Right.
it. There's other things they don't miss about the military, right? But
Right.
so you found martial arts as a way to get that back in a way without having to stick your neck out there too much.
Right. Like a lot of guys go out and they say, "Oh, hey, man, I got out the army, so I joined the police or whatever other federal government agency, right?" And they're like, "Oh, I got this, and I feel
Yeah.
good." Like, right, yeah, I feel the camaraderie with that or whatnot. And I'm saying you don't have to go back into a federal job or anything to feel that. Like if you do like martial arts, like you can get that right away. And it helps, and you can still come out and do whatever job you wanted to do. Like for me, I do visual effects and stuff, so I went into the military and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do my time. Ended up only being my 6 years, but when I first got in, I was like, man, I'm retiring at like at 37, and then I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna make all this money and I'm getting retirement money and I'll be all right. But I ended up getting that off after my 6, and I went to school and I did what I wanted to do when I went into before I went to the army. I wanted to be an animator and work on movies and stuff, and technically that's what not technically an animator, but I'm working on the movies and I'm doing a lot of things that I wanted to do once I got out. So
That's cool. And then on the side, the martial arts helps keep you in shape, right?
right,
It just lets you
right,
burn off that stress.
right,
Hang out with people who are in the same environment and going towards the same goals.
right.
And it's everyone's. I mean, did you find that people are mostly welcoming of you when you went
yeah.
in? Like, like, hey, some people have a bad attitude about military folks, right? Coming into something like that.
Yeah, there are some that have bad answers, but I think everybody where I was at, we were good. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're in the military, great. Thank you for your service. That whole spiel." And you're like, "Ah, thanks. You're welcome. Thank you. I was just doing my job, kind of thing. But like, nobody was nobody was like, oh, I don't want to train with that guy. He was military or anything. Everybody was like, come on, let's train. Oh, you're military? Okay, so you know how to like control yourself and you know how to not go stupid hard for no reason. Right?
You can do a push-up.
Yeah, and you can do push-up. You know, so yeah, that part was good. You know, and I feel so I feel you get that camaraderie from it. You know,
Excellent.
and like as you go along, you realize there's so many other things to it as well too. Like before and after class, what are you doing? You're in formation. You know, so you still have that structure that you've been missing, that even though you don't notice you're missing it, like subconsciously you're like, for the last 6 years I've been forming up at least twice a day. You
Right.
know,
So
at a
it feels normal and it feels right.
right, and it feels, yeah, and it's the same thing depending on where you go. Some people just wherever you form up in your
Sure.
thing. But also with where I was at in the Muay Thai section, we formed up by rank. Right, so there was the ranking structure as well. You know, so you know the higher ranks formed up in front, the lower ranks formed up behind you, and you went, you know, back in line at like that, and it was just still the square, you know, rectangle, square formation, whichever it was that you were, you know, or even if it wasn't that at the end, like you had like you joined up in like a circle, and it was like a, no, you're not singing Kumbaya and all that stuff, but it was like a circle formation, right? So it was still a formation, and
Although Kumbaya style sounds pretty cool.
right, yeah,
For Winnie the Pooh.
right, and so so I mean, for me, it's like you also get that the rank structure and the discipline, right? Because when you form up, you have to, you know, your
Touch
instructor,
your mouth, pay attention,
right? You gotta like,
not fidget.
right, and you know, and for the most part, you're pretty much at attention too, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, and then you know your instructor, you know, calls you in, and they're like, all right, and then you yell your cadence or whatnot, and then you know on the way out too, it's like, you know, and then also when you're in formation, like, you know, you get the briefs for what's going on that week, like, oh well, this week we'll be having this seminar and this seminar, so it's literally just like having a you know, formation at the end of the day. Like, okay, all right, guys, so tomorrow we're going to be working on this and that, you know.
So it feels natural. There's a natural aspect to having been in the military and doing Muay Thai at least, right?
Right. Well, I mean, Muay Thai, it's the same. Well, I mean, at 5-star, that's how it was. And then at other gyms that I've been to, it was like that too. Like, we have you here, so now let's tell you what else we can offer you. Right. So that,
Right.
I mean, that's the deal for the studios and stuff. It's like, oh, we have you here, everybody's quiet, let's tell you what else we can offer you. Yeah, they're not gonna say it like that. They're like, hey, dude, look at this other awesome training you can get. Okay, yeah. But from the actual dojo side, it's let's tell us let me tell you what we can offer you. And from the other side, when you're like just a student, you're there and you, like, oh man, that sounds interesting. I want to learn that, and I can focus on that. Like, you know, I've taught seminars on, you know, just overhands alone, and and working those into combos. And I love overhands, so you know, I did seminars on that, and you know, other kinds of seminars, and you know, but you have to also, as a part of it too, it's, you know, you get that same structure and that formation, and the scheduling is the same too, right? Like, you got to be there 15 minutes early. It's set for this time on this day, you know, and you're just running, you know, straight from work. You got to like run over there or whatever, change, form up, you know, and so you still have a schedule to keep. Like, you're not just running around with nothing to do. It gives you a purpose, you know, to do something. And like, so when you're just running out, you're like, all right, I got this now, and you know, I can do this, or I need to be here, you know. So because a lot of guys, when they get out, you know, some of the guys that we talked to too, they were like, I didn't know what to do for like at least 6 months, and they didn't do anything. They just sat at home, you know, and you know,
which, you know, some people need to do that, to chill out, sit back, right? But
yeah,
it's always best to keep your physical and mental game sharp, right? And if you're not working, or if you're not fully engaged, it's a pretty good idea to do something physical. And if you don't want to do PT anymore, go run
Right.
necessarily, or whatever it is, you can still get a great workout doing Muay Thai or Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu or whatever you want to do, karate.
For sure.
And you're flipping around, you're burning off that energy, your mental stress gets a break. You got to focus right now, this minute, on exactly what you're doing.
Right.
And that's a very positive thing.
Yeah. And like I was saying,
For life.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And like I was saying, I put on the Girlfriend 30, and I lost that all just by doing martial arts. Like I didn't run that time. I wasn't hitting the gym. I didn't even have time to run or hit the gym, like, because I was there.
Right.
I would go work in the morning, and at this time, man, some days I was working like literally like 48, 56-hour shifts. Like I was just stuck behind my desk, putting it in work. Some weeks there was a
sedentary and eating French fries.
Right. Yeah. Some weeks I had 120 something hours on the books. Like I think the max was either 125, 128 hours on my book. That's 1 week. That's like that's like 2 weeks for people with overtime. And so
Heavy.
yeah. So I mean, I was really just sitting around, and I was probably at the worst I was at that point. Then I found martial arts again. And I was like, all right, cool. I threw all that weight off within like maybe 6 months, So, I mean, I wasn't able to go every day because of my work schedule, but once things eased off, I was there all the time. And
that's cool. That's cool that you just gave it a time frame, like saying 6 months, right, to lose 30 pounds, because no one should lose 30 pounds in a week. You know what I'm saying? It's just not, it doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
So
right.
everything's about time,
Right.
and getting that mental physical game gelled, right?
Yeah, and plus, I mean, it's hard to, if you don't have like a regular just 9 to 5 scheduled job, like if you're working overtime, random overtime at times as well too, it's hard to be like, oh, I'm gonna hit the gym now, and every day at 5 I'm going to the gym, or every day at 5:30, gotta get off at 5, I'm going to the gym. So unless you have that, it's very difficult. And for me, I still don't have that. My job is wherever it is, whenever it is, and so I have to go through and find the time and make the time, really, not even just find the time. Like my weekend mornings, I was there every Saturday and Sunday morning, like if I wasn't working, because I work Sunday, I work sometimes on the weekends as well, but if I wasn't, I was there just for like 4 hours. I'd be there from 8 to like 12. Just get
because you liked it, you enjoyed it, you got something from it.
Yeah, it was great because I'd get in there, I would do, I think, I can't remember exactly what it was, but Saturday, let's just say I'd start with Muay Thai, go to Jiu-Jitsu, then go back to sparring, and then Sunday it would be I'd start with Jiu-Jitsu, go to Muay Thai, and then go back to sparring or whatever other class it was after that. And I think for that one, on Sundays I did like a special Sunday course, and in that one we did stick fighting, all kinds of stuff as well too, which was fun for me because that was something I hadn't done since prior to going into the military. And then in the military we do like pugil fighting and stuff, but it's still not the same as like stick fighting, And
you're not doing it every week either.
Right, is also that. So it was good, and we did weights and martial arts. But, so it was good. And I enjoyed that. Like, and I feel, and honestly, and like it gives you goals too, right? I mean, if you're there and you're like, man, my goal is to be a black belt or whatever, and you're like, yes, I'm there. So you're gonna go every day. It motivates you to get out of bed and be like, all right, I got somewhere to be today. And then if it's a testing day or something too, you go in there and you're like, oh, I gotta get there today. Because it's a testing day. I don't want to wait another month or however long it is for you to take a test. Like, depending on your studio, dojo, whatever it may be, you might not be testing if you miss that day, you might not be testing till 6 months later, so.
Right, and those goals are obviously achievable because other people have done it.
Right.
And it's usually set out where you know exactly what you need to do to hit those goals. So
right.
It's a pretty pretty cool way of approaching things sometimes, because sometimes out in life you might have a goal, but you have no real good knowledge of how to achieve it. And for
Right.
martial arts, it's there in front of you already. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's definitely an aspect too, because I mean, it's the same like when you're in the army. You're like, all right, what do I got to do to make E5 or whatnot? You got to go to the board. You got to set goals and do all this stuff, and you got to meet all your points and everything else. So it's like that. So it gives you that kind of still like strive for more kind of attitude. And even when you're a black belt, then you can still once you get your first black belt, you still get stripes, and you still get more and more rank as you go along.
let me ask you, Muay Thai, to become an instructor, do you have to hit a certain rank first, or I'm not real familiar with their rank structure?
For us, there was so Muay Thai is different. Like it depends on where you go. Some places have a rank structure, and ours was, and every gym has its own different rank structure. And so ours was kind of based off of a jiu-jitsu rank structure. So you had like the white, and we have Prajits, which is like the armband.
Okay.
So it went from white to black, and you got white with blue stripes, white with purple stripes, all that kind of stuff. And for that, you would, you keep moving up. So we got rank structures. Other places, they're just like, okay, you've been here for like 3 years, so you know how to teach. There's no ranking in there, right?
Yeah.
You're now a coach or a or a crew or whatnot. And like crew it's like sensei in Japanese martial arts or whatever, or sifu in like Chinese martial arts, or guru in other Asian martial arts, right? so crew is pretty much like your coach.
Okay.
And and with that, I mean, you can, and you just rank up until you get to that level where your crew feels that you're capable of coaching. And for us, we had to take a test to become a crew, and it was 3 rounds, 3 hard sparring rounds and stuff, and you have to hit the other person a certain amount of times, punch them a certain amount of times, knee them a certain amount of times, kick them a certain amount of times to get to the crew level. If not, you're just a coach. And with that, it was I was training up for that, and right before I got to do it, that's when I got my hernia. And so
setbacks.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, right? You will have setbacks, and especially when you're doing like martial arts and anything. Like you're gonna have setbacks, and you're gonna have injuries. Like injuries for sure. Like it was funny the other day. I broke my toe kicking the bed like a dummy. Like just walked into the bed, and I laughed at it. I was like, "Dang it, broke my toe again!" And I was laughing, and my old crew, he posted up, and he liked to post and laughed or something. He commented or something. And I was like, yeah, well, it wasn't like back in the day, because when you're doing Muay Thai, like you've always got a broken toe or a foot bone or something. Like there's not a day you're not, especially if you're sparring hard. Like
right.
You're literally like just walking around with a broken toe. And sometimes, and then, some days it'll be like, bang, kicked and broke my left toe, toe on my left foot. And you're like, all right, good. And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, oh man, I feel good. That's healed up good. And then bang, you kick with the right foot. And then, you got a broken toe on your right foot, because if somebody checks when you kick and you collide right on their shin or whatnot, or even if you kick up and they just block and you hit the elbow, like that could be like a foot bone, just like a fracture.
So this is definitely a hard style.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, even with pads on, the toes are still exposed, and you're getting.
Right.
So I mean,
we should mention right here that martial arts doesn't only include Muay Thai and sparring with this hard stuff. You can do other things that are more esoteric and mind-oriented, like Tai Chi or something like that. and will give you many of the same things we've talked about with the camaraderie and the mental aspects and physical aspects. You don't
Right.
always have to slam your fist into somebody.
Right.
That's just CJ's experience right now,
Yeah.
angling his feet before he's an old man.
Right. Yeah, and well, I mean, for me too, like I competed mostly in Muay Thai once I was out. So
Sure.
once I got out, I trained hard, and it was, it's the same thing type of things. Like you got to meet your weight goals, right? So now you have to eat. So for there was 3 months that I didn't eat any bread or anything else. I was like cutting weight. I didn't even drink alcohol for 3 months. I was like, everybody that knows me was like, exactly, right,
Cool.
right. Like, I mean, when I first started out with training again, like on the weekends especially, I would come in, even if I showered, everybody would be like, all right, somebody was drinking rum last night. Yeah, that was me. And and I'd still go in there and put in my 3 to 4 hours every, on the weekends.
Yeah.
So for me, yeah, like when I if I was training for a fight, like for 3 months, I wouldn't even drink. And to put even more on that, but how you have to be goal oriented and how it builds your mental toughness.
Sure.
I went to Oktoberfest with my friends, not the one in Germany, just the local like Oktoberfest here, and I was training for my fight. And that night I was DD. like,
Yeah. That's
like
commitment, right? That's goals.
Yeah.
That's mental toughness. That's
Yeah.
following through with what you promised yourself. So that's pretty
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, and even all my friends, they were like, "Are you sure? Not even one beer?" I was like, "Nah, man." I told myself no drinks till after this fight, and that's just what it was. Like I didn't drink. I think the only thing I did was like, my mom made some roti at some point and some curry, and I was like, all right. Because before, even when she made the roti, I would throw it on like a salad or something, or not, sorry, the curry. I'd throw it on a salad and like have like a curry salad. But one night I was just like, I saw that roti, I was like, all right, I'm all right. I've met my goal for this week, so
Treat yourself too, right?
Right, yeah. So there's always that thing too,
Can't always be a Buddha monk.
Right. There's always the cheat meal that you can get whenever you're on a diet. You just can't go crazy with it, And then
So let me ask you this: as an instructor doing this for a long time, having been with the girlfriend 30, right? Let's say we got a veteran, male, female, doesn't matter. They haven't been doing their PT, right? They're out of shape. They come to you. Like, what's it like for them at first?
well, it's really good because, when I start talking off, and then, sometimes just how we talk, it always comes up that, I was in the military or they were in the military. And once we get that, and like that, that's like an instant like brotherhood right there. It doesn't matter if they were Marines, Coast Guard, whatever, right? Navy. Like there's always that instant like, oh, hey, you're military as well, so let's do it. And then for me, I think once I know somebody was in the military and I know they want to like, I feel like set their goals or whatever, like I'll push them a little bit harder than I would if they were just like civilians. So,
Yeah.
and I have to say too, like I think being as an instructor, it helps you learn to deal with civilians a little bit more, than normal because
Interesting.
because it doesn't matter if the student says, hey, ride me hard. Like if I was in the military, I want to be a fighter. Just whatever you do to your military guys, do to me. All right. And that doesn't always work out because then you go ahead and you do exactly what they ask you to do. And then they were like, well, that was too hard and you hurt my feelings. And now, you got to deal with that now, so there's a different like level that you can take that. I don't say that you can. I'm not saying all civilians are like that. I'm not saying all military guys are like that. A lot of military guys come out and they're like, I don't want to be yelled at anymore.
Right.
So don't, you know. And so there's a line, you know, like you have to find that line with everybody. And you know, some civilians, you're like, you can yell at them all you want, and they won't, you know, they won't give a darn. They'll be like, all right, whatever, I'm here to train, and I'm here to meet my goals, you know. But so it gives you that. It helps you to deal with people and helps you to read the people more, being as an instructor. Because if you see somebody and you're yelling at them, you're like, come on, man, push it, or, you know, or you know, whatever, and you see that you yelling at them helps them to not, like, I guess, you know, just hold the plank or whatever it is for whatever reason, or you know, do this many kicks. Like, say we're doing like a 30-second kick run, or, you know, kick blitz or whatever blitz. As in, if you yell at somebody and you're like, and you can see them, that it motivates them to not stop, then it's different. But then if you're like yelling at somebody and you see that it doesn't even help. Like, it doesn't matter how hard you're yelling. They're just like, I'm done and I'm not doing this anymore. Then you have to read that person, like, and you can't continue to yell at that person anymore. And that was a hard lesson that I learned. So you can't continue to yell at a person even because if it's not motivating them.
Yeah, right.
You have
shut them down.
Yeah, they shut down, and so I mean, for me, that was a very hard lesson that I learned, because, you know, I lost a gig over that, you know, and I was like, I was asked not to come back and instruct anymore.
You'll have that.
Right, you know. So now it's like I have to read the room better and read not even the room, just the person and the individual better. And you get really good at, like, knowing what to say. Like, right now I have a Marine that I train, and he's good, you know, but he's also like enjoying the civilian life, you know. Right. So, but when he comes to class, he's like, all right, I'm here to work out. And, you know, whenever he's slacking him, I'll be like, come on, Marine, let's go, you know. Right? Yeah. You know, and I don't do it all the time, like, you know, but I like to, you know, let him know, like, hey, come on, man, push it. I know you know how to push it. I know your
background. Let's do this.
Like, exactly. I know you know how to push it, and I know you know how to get it done. So let's just get it done. And you know, and I think, and also you can use the same, like, skills and stuff that you've learned from the military in the leadership roles as well too, right? Like, you know how to form people up. You know how to, like, get everybody's attention. You know that if everybody's talking and, like, they're not paying attention to you, you could be like, all right, guys, 10 burpees right now. And then they're like, why? I was like, well, I was just giving you instructions, and you guys were talking about your nails or your car or whatever else, right? You know, and so 10 burpees, and then hopefully you're ready to listen again. You know, like, when you're done.
That guy's a mean veteran.
Right. You know, but I mean,
I don't want to play Muay Thai anymore.
Right. But I mean, and I also look at it too, and I tell people when they come to my class, like, I've had people where they're like, oh, I just worked out before, and this warm out is tough, or I'm already warmed up. I'm like, well, that's not my problem. Like, you're here, you know, like, I'm not, it's not being like a jackass or anything, but, like, you came here willingly on your own behalf.
Like, you're paying money to be here.
Right. I didn't invite you in. I didn't, you know, say, hey, come on in. You know, you came here on your own behalf to do what you do. And if you're going to come here and not work out, well, then don't come here. Like, you know, and I make that very clear. I'm like, look, if you're going to be in my class, go at your own pace. You're going to, as long as you push yourself, I don't care within the minute or, you know, 30 seconds or whatever time limit you have. I don't care if you do 3 push-ups or you do 45, right? That's your own pace. And I'm not going to push you farther. I'm going to push you, but I'm not going to, like, push you to the extent where you're, like, going to get hurt or anything else. Like, the next time we come around, if you did 3 push-ups the last time, go for 4 or 5 now. Push yourself, get that pace. Like, you know, if you did 45, try to go more than that. You know what? It's just go at your own pace. And with me, like, hit the bag. If you want to hit the bag and just blitz it out, good. But if you need to, like, hit the bag, sit back for like 5 seconds, take a breather. All right, go ahead, sit back, hit the bag. Like I'm not. My class structure is like meant for people to improve on themselves and their own goals. I mean, there are other people out there that just are like, oh, you need to do this many and blah 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 blah, and they'll yell at you still. And I mean that works for some people as well, but I mean, and for me, it's not because especially in like in the fitness schools. Like if I do like cardio kickboxing, quote unquote, whatever it is, when you're there to like work out and lose weight, then that's different. But if I'm like in a sparring class and I'm teaching somebody how to fight, like it's totally different. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
you're gonna do these push-ups. You're gonna do this flutter kicks or whatever. You're gonna kick the bag this many times. I don't care if the bell rang. I don't care if the time's up. Like you're gonna do it.
Right, because
Like,
it forces them to go beyond, right?
right. It's different.
Their own mental limitation at that point.
Right. And you got to break past their blocks, their mental blocks. Especially like if you get into a fight and you're in the ring and you're like, yeah, all charged up, ready to go, and then you get that first hit, like that real solid hit, and you're like, oh snap, and now I can't. You just flustered and you can't get past that. Like like that kind of stuff will help you. Like pushing past your own boundaries will help you. Like if I'm just like, okay, do what you want in a sparring class, then that's not helping anybody. If you get in the ring, that's just gonna get you hurt. So that's the kind of thing. So I mean, so the different, so you learn how to deal with people on a different level, right? Like, and you learn how to deal with like ex-military guys or girls, whatever. You know how to deal with civilians a little bit different, and you just literally just have to read the person and their personality, and it's pretty, and it helps you out a lot once you figure that out, like to read the individual. It's just like if you're joking around with your friends one day, right, and a new guy comes in their group. Right, you can crack some jokes on him, but then once he starts to be like, "Hey, man, that's messed up," then you're like, "Okay, we can't take those jokes that far." Right? It's that same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, and honestly too, like we were talking about sparring and competing, like training up for competing and stuff is really fun for me because I like to go in there and you get to test yourself again. Like. And you get in the ring and it's just you and this other person, and it's, I'm gonna hit you, you're gonna hit me, I'm gonna try my hardest not to make that happen. Like I want to hit you without you hitting me, and that's the hardest. And like you get in there and like I said, you get hit and you're like, oh man, that's crazy, like that hurt. Now I either need to shake this off or I need to just go back in and like, smash. Like, I remember like my first fight, I went in there and my crew, he was like, all right, here's what you want to do. As soon as the bell rings, touch gloves. And then as soon as you touch gloves, step back and then go straight back, cross hook, rear leg kick. Right. And he's like, as hard as you can. And that was what I did. Cross hook, rear leg kick, and then like that's just started off the pace of the fight. Like I was just like, I wasn't. As soon as like I did that, like all the jitters were gone, because it's my first fight and I don't even know how long, So
that's fun,
and it is just fun, and like all the jitters were gone. I'm like, all right, cool, loose, and I'm like moving around the ring, springing around, just hitting, taking hits, and it was fun. Like I didn't get hurt or anything because I'm like. Super release and like, and at one point like my crew, I got back, I don't know what it was, first round or second round, he's like did he hit you hard? I was like no. He's like, oh man, it must just be how relaxed you are, because that's the thing, like everybody always tells me, even like the professional people like I've trained with and they're like, I've never seen somebody that was so relaxed in the ring as you. And I was like, is that a compliment? Is it?
Does that mean I'm lazy in there? What does that mean?
Right. Yeah. So like everybody's like, dude, it's like, and everybody's like, yeah, it's a compliment. Like you're in there, you're just relaxed. You don't. I mean, Like you
So
take a kid.
I just like to point out for listeners. So CJ finds relaxation in a fight in a Muay Thai ring,
Oh yeah.
but he's finding relaxation. This is one of those ways where whatever de-stresses you and you can find it. This is one way of doing that
Oh,
that you may not know about, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah. It
that's
definitely
cool.
like I'd say hitting things definitely de-stresses me for sure. And on the top end, like I used to love sparring weekly because I messed my back up in Iraq or somewhere else. Who knows? We're in somewhere in the army, right? So like it
Big
always
blackouts.
right. So like for me like turning just turning this way sometimes is a hard task. But every time after sparring, like I don't know if whether it was just somebody punched me in the face right or just the moving or whatever it was, like I never had that issue. Like I didn't like so every time I'm sparring, like I don't have that issue and and I mean I'm not sparring like I used to, so it comes back every now and again, but like before when I was sparring, that issue was gone and I'm like, man, yeah, I don't know whether they just hit it back in place or just the movements or whatever, but it literally like opens me up like to just like as like a massage and I'm just like relaxed. So
That's cool.
yeah,
That's a good benefit.
right. And I think too like looking at that too, like you got to know who's in your corner, right, to go fight. And I think this was one of the things we were talking about. So you have to interview your whatever gym or dojo you're going to, right? Because I know Jeff, you said you went to a couple and it didn't work out you for whatever reason.
Yeah, different places I've lived, and I've lived in quite a few since I got out. But like for instance, a Hapkido place I went to look at Korean Hapkido, which is more of a full martial art, I guess you could say, compared to say Taekwondo. It's more limited. So like Hapkido is sort of like a Korean Kung Fu, let's say, if you want to compare some stuff. And I met the instructor, the head instructor, and then he showed me his newest black belt and said he'll be doing classes. And this guy, I shook his hand and I looked at him, and I wanted to be there to lose weight and go hard. And this guy was a big old dude, civilian guy. He's carrying like 30, 60 extra pounds. I don't know at the time. And I said, this isn't the guy I can learn from.
Right.
Not that he didn't have anything to teach me, but I was looking. You want to emulate some of your leaders sometimes, and that leader I probably couldn't emulate very well. So I didn't go beyond that first intro class.
Right.
And that's how it was for me. And I've checked out stuff for my kids in the past, and I've always been taught that the black belt is the one who teaches, and he may have a lower order belt do something, but he's the professional in the room when you're talking about karate and taekwondo and whatnot, right? And so I've looked at other stuff for the kids, and I've gone there and seen kids have a lower belt hammering on little kids and stretching, and little kids saying, "Ow, that hurts," and the older teenage kid is hammering on these kids and saying, "Oh, suck it up," and I'm like, that's how you hurt somebody, right? So there's some fly by night stuff out there, and you want to talk to people and see how they feel about it and see if it's I don't know. Some people make up their credentials, right? They don't even know what they're teaching, right? So,
Right.
One thing in boxing is a martial art, so go box, right?
Right.
Kickboxing, Muay Thai, right? We can talk about practical, tactical versus esoteric and old school stuff too. But you want to go take that free class and really look at what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. That's my advice.
Yeah, too. I mean, and there are also some gyms that offer like a free week, because you don't really get the sense of a place after just one class.
I agree.
And I know like everybody nowadays, you can go on Groupon, and Groupon's got like, hey, come check us out for a week for like $50 or or whatever, or or here your first month you get half off or something. Use that month to see, week, to a month to see if you actually like the place before you make a commitment. I mean, I went in there.
Well, just to tailor onto that one where I was looking at for my kids, I had three free deals, right? Three free ones. And so I left my kids back the next time and I went to the second one to see what the adults were up to, right? And so it was like they took you downstairs away from the kids and they were doing something with your pinky right? Where they're twisting your pinky around your back and your neck, and
Oh yeah.
it's supposed to be some self-defense move. And I was like, you can break this right off. I'm still gonna claw your face off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like, so he's got my pinky and like, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
There was no third one for that.
Right.
So, that's that practical tactical mindset, I think, versus, what sounds good and looks good
Right.
versus, on the street. And we haven't talked about any of that street stuff. That's probably a different talk actually. But
Right.
right now we're talking about, hey, go get in shape, go feel
Yeah.
physically better, go feel mentally better, get some of that camaraderie back. And you
Yeah.
can always figure stuff out after that.
Right. And also, I mean, like I was talking to Jeff earlier, you can also like interview your instructors, right? Like,
Yeah.
and figure out what their background is. If you want to be a fighter, right, and you go to a gym and nobody in that gym has ever stepped in a ring or ever competed, you're in the wrong gym.
Yeah.
If you're there to lose weight and everybody in that gym looks like, a Greek god, you're probably in the right place. Like, so it's all about what you want as well too to accomplish, right? So
And also what's available around you.
yeah, there is also what's available, but I mean, even then, like, I don't think, unless you're in a really really small town, there's gonna be at least more than one or two gyms, So and it's good, and then you got to think too, like, sometimes gyms like go their separate ways and instructors go their separate ways and do their things, and you're like, which instructor do I want to stay with? Do I want to go over here or go over here? And it's always there'll always be that instructor that you drive with more than anything, right? And you're gonna say, oh, these guys, he's gonna go open his own gym over here, I'm gonna go over there with him, and it's probably an extra 30-minute drive for me or something, but I feel, I connect more with this guy or that guy or this gal or that gal, so you definitely have to like interview them and see like what their background is, where they're coming from, what their goals are as well for their own gym. Like, if their goals, if you ask them like, oh, hey, so what are the goals for the gym? And they don't have any. They're like, I just want to keep it open, and teach. Like,
Seen that for sure.
yeah, then that's a guy that's really not motivated to teach. But if he's like, he'll come at you and he'll say, oh, hey, yeah, but I want to have this many students. Like, I just opened my gym, so by like 3 months, I want to have this many students. Like, say like 100 students, or I would like to have at least 5 fighters in the next couple, months or whatnot. Or I want to have at least some people in this jiu-jitsu competition, or whatever competition. Like, if your instructor and the owner doesn't have any goals for his own gym, how is he going to help you create goals for yourself and help you move forward and help you accomplish your goals? 'Cause if he has no goals, and even if he has goals and he doesn't know how to, portray them or tell you about them, then it's just like, then how's he really going to help you out that much? If you're just there to lose weight and it's the closest, fastest thing, and you're not really worried about that at the moment, sure, go ahead, join up, but still keep looking for another gym that's going to help you get to where you want to be. Because it's not everybody can just sit there and be a good instructor or a great instructor. Yeah, there are good instructors out there. There's a lot of good instructors out there. There's not very many great instructors, and I've been lucky and I've found quite a few great instructors over my time. I wouldn't say my career, but my time, like, doing martial arts. And I always strive to learn more, like this knife stuff, stick stuff, sword play, whatever. And for a while there, I was teaching myself Krabang, and that's like the traditional Muay Thai style. And but it was a goal of mine to learn that, to be able to teach it and do it. So then I would have to go all the way out to Rancho Cucamonga, which I'm in LA. For anybody in California knows, that's like an hour drive or even worse with traffic. You know.
But
So
it's only 4 miles away.
right, yeah.
I I don't know where it is compared to where you're at, but
uh, it's about 30 miles,
okay.
but yeah, but it's pretty far and like maybe a little bit more, but like I would have to
We've
go out there to learn and like I would make that drive and I've made that drive and but it was just it's a crazy drive, but it's something I was learning and I wanted
yeah.
to do. If you don't have a instructor that's not motivated to keep on learning as well, like if he's like, oh, I got my black belt and I stopped training, uh, then you're probably not going to be learning much, because as a black belt, he's already forgotten most of what he learned.
Yeah, then
Honestly,
he's limited, right? He can
yeah,
only teach you to a certain point.
right. So make sure even your instructors need to be training and or at least they don't have to go like every day and train like you do because they're teaching you, so they got limited time. But they at least got to go train and learn new things and new techniques every once in a while, and come back and be like, oh man, I just saw this new technique. Let me learn it well enough to where I can teach it, and then I can teach you. There's that, and I think, yeah, and I think what Jeff was saying, you got to watch out for places that just beat you up, right? Right, like
Right.
you were, yeah, saying with the one where it was just like hitting on the kids, and they were like, "Ah, you got to be tougher," then
And I mean that being from the military, right? We all understand that, but
right,
kids don't understand that.
right,
So and there's definitely places where you can go, take a taekwondo class with your kids, which is an awesome thing too, because
right,
you're in there doing what you need to do, and your kids are with you, and they're seeing you do it, and together as a family, you do that stuff. That's wonderful.
yeah,
People talk about taekwondo not necessarily being a practical fighting style, and maybe it's not, right?
yeah,
But it still does a lot of good things for you, right?
oh yeah,
We talked a lot about Muay Thai,
yeah,
and fencing is a martial art, right? You can get into like Viking sword stuff if you want.
oh yeah,
You can go do Japanese samurai sword stuff, or even kendo, where you're fighting with, wooden bamboo sticks, right? And all
yeah,
this stuff. Like whatever you're into, you could probably find it, and you may
yeah,
not find it right away, but start with something, and get that headspace right and that physical stature right, and
yeah,
do that Martian mind meld. And then, if you got to if you're not enjoying it anymore, try something else,
yeah,
because you might just find a crew of people that you're super down with, and
right,
that is gold in itself too.
all
So,
right,
or you start your own at some point. You get experienced enough, you become instructor, or you have the credentials, and you gather people around you that you like. So,
right. Yeah, and that's something too. Like with coming out of the military, everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm used to getting beaten up. But at the same time, if you come out and you have like an injury or something, right?
right,
You don't want to go somewhere that they're gonna like exacerbate that injury or re-injure it or even make whatever. Like you need to be careful, right? And especially if you're sparring with your training partners, like you got to pick your training partners very well if you have an injury, right? Because there's some guys that are like, all right, let's go easy, and they just don't know what easy is, and or they've come from a gym where it's just like there is no easy. You go hard all the time. For me, there, I've had guys when I was doing jujitsu, and they're like, in jujitsu, you're like, all right, let's go easy. We can just roll and spar. And like, there's guys that are just gonna muscle out everything and try to do everything. Like, I've gotten black eyes from jujitsu, from guys kneeing me in the face. Like I've got kneed in the face in jujitsu. Find some wood. Knock on wood. I never got kneed in the face in Muay Thai.
yeah,
So the only knee I've gotten was from jujitsu, and it's from a guy trying to get me in like side control. And like I told him, I was like, all right, we're going easy today. I'm not feeling too hot. Like my shoulders jacked up a little bit today, so I don't want to go too hard. And he was like, all right. And he was a higher rank than me, so when he couldn't get past my guard and everything else, like, because for me, like, I always just worked on form, and I didn't use too much pressure and power or anything else with my jiu-jitsu. you know, because I also rolled with a lot of the girls there too, and you know, I don't want to just, and with them, like, I could muscle out everything, but I get nothing out of it. So for me, I've always been like, just keep it in and work on my form and my frame and anything else. And he couldn't get past my guard, so then he was just like fighting, and then,
Yeah, the
then he, like,
competition aspect started.
yeah, and then so then he like we got close to the wall, and then he like slammed my head on the wall, and then like kneed me in the face, and I was just like, all right, okay, this is how we're going. All right, so even then I was like, you're definitely not getting past my guard now, you know. And then so when the time ran out, I was just like, you know, like I was actually starting to like just, you know, get the advantage on him. And the time ran out. He was like, you want to keep going? I was like, nah, I'm done, bro. Like, I'm not. Like, and you got to know that. Like, you got to also know, like, if there's somebody that, if you're not in the mood to spar hard or go hard, then don't go with somebody that's gonna hard. And even if they do, you got to like mentally come back and be like, no, I don't need to one up you, because I already told you, and I told myself I'm not going hard today. So if I go hard today and I'm not even in the mindset to go hard, I'm gonna hurt myself. Like, I'm gonna get injured. You know, and not saying that you know, hey, getting smacked on the wall and a knee to the face wasn't getting injured, but you know, like.
So let's explore this though from a veteran point of view. Someone who goes in and just got kneed in the face. You controlled yourself, like you didn't lose it,
No.
so to speak, right?
Yeah.
You never know. Some people might not have as much control as you. Like,
Right.
if you like, and I'm saying for veterans, right? You know, you have to be careful in those situations.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, because you know, we don't know where you've been, we don't know what you've experienced, but
Right.
you might feel like it's go time then. And
Yeah.
if you're feeling that way, maybe Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu may not be the martial art for you.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
might. I'm
Right,
just
well-
saying, like, we got to be careful in those situations.
Yeah, and I think too, like, yeah, you gotta also, like, when you're interviewing the instructor, you gotta interview the school as well, like the students. Like, if they're only all about going hard and you don't want to go hard, then you're in the wrong place. You
Yeah.
know, because there are some schools like that. They're like, we're only gonna go hard, and
Right, we're
that's
training
it.
you to go to UFC today, so
Right.
if
We're
you're not down with that, have a nice
Yeah.
day, and
we're
have a nice day. It'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're here as a competitive school, and we just want everybody here to compete.
If you want to tear people's heads off, you need to find someone like that, though, so it can prepare you to go to the UFC where you get your head torn off.
Oh, right.
Right.
I mean, I think for most people, if they want something really hard, I'd think not all Krav Maga classes, but most Krav Maga classes.
Yeah.
Those guys go pretty hard. Like, they'll have like the blue gun like right in your neck, and you know, if you're just barely placing it like on the neck, you know, the instructor will come out and be like, "Is that how you're
Jam
gonna
it in there.
Yeah, they're like, is that how you're gonna rob somebody, or is this how you're gonna rob somebody? Just like jam the gun all the way in, you know, so the person with the gun on the neck's choking. Is like, now defend yourself,
Yeah.
right? So,
And that's the practical, tactical stuff.
right. So it's like it's all
And
about
it has its applications in places and on the street
Right.
and whatnot. So,
right.
you know, that can't be denied.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then so yeah, definitely feel out the class and make sure that you're in a place for what you want to be, because like.
It's good advice.
And then, you know, there's also places too, like, check it out too. If they have classes where you can just learn and go easy, and then have like a competition class where you go hard all the time and you want to compete, trust me, you're gonna want to go to the easy classes first. I don't care whether it's
No doubt.
sparring, like Muay Thai sparring, stick fighting, whatever. You want to go to those classes first before you go to the hard classes. Because if you go in there right away and you get hit once, especially with a stick, really hard, you're not gonna want to come back. Like, I'm just saying, like,
I just got spanked.
yeah. I mean, when we stick fight, we wear the fencing masks, and my fencing mask is dented up because we hit so hard, you know. So it's different, you know. And like when you take like a stick to like the forearm, like that is a welt that's gonna be there for at least a month. Like, it's gonna hurt, you know. So and it's just pretty crazy. Yeah, so definitely, if you want to fight and or compete, not in just fight, but compete, like even in like jiu-jitsu or whatever, taekwondo. Like, taekwondo is great for competition. You know, it's like you're there and you got to be fast. If you want to stay mobile, taekwondo is it. If you have like injuries, and you can't move that fast, jiu-jitsu is really good for that, because you can find a guard that works for you and works for your injury. Like there's guys out there that don't even have legs that are competing in jiu-jitsu, like as high-ranking jiu-jitsu guys, right? Or a guy with, I think it was one guy with, I saw the other day, was missing an arm, or no, not an arm, sorry, a leg, and he just won the competition, And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So I mean, even if you're like, even if you have your injuries or whatnot, you can go out to jiu-jitsu and just roll and have fun, and it's great. Like
Yeah.
It's gonna be harder. You're gonna have to learn your own techniques, in that way, because for me, my shoulders were never I hurt my shoulder in Iraq as well. And like I said, my back earlier, like my shoulder was never that strong enough again afterwards that I can like muscle through everything. So that's why I had to box my frame, and I just can't. And if anybody went for Americana on this arm, I was like, tap. Like I tapped before they even got close, because I knew like it would just pop right out. And I was like, tap, yep, okay, done. Oh, you got it in there? You got your arm? Okay. You got a little bit of pressure? Tap. And I'm not going to let you pop my arm out just for training. That's just stupid, So you have to know that as well, too. Like, and then also, like, and not even, like, if you go to classes or stuff, right? I think we were talking about it, too, Jeff, like training at home, right? So.
Yeah, if you have a base of some martial arts training,
yeah,
even military self-defense, like the Marines have the military martial arts program. If you know that stuff, you can train it. You can train yourself. You get a buddy, get one of your older kids, something. You know what I'm saying? And you can go through the motions or the katas or whatnot on your own.
Yeah.
And do the stretching. Warm up, go through what you know.
Right.
Like I'm just thinking Taekwondo right now. Go through a punch set, go through a kick set. Go through all your kicks, stretch out afterwards because you're older now, and you can always train up to get you think, maybe I'm at a point where I want to go to the dojo again, right?
Right.
Or dojang if it's Taekwondo.
Right.
And that it's just your own personal motivation in that regard. There's videos on everything these days.
Right.
You can do classes online.
Right.
Where people, you're going through regular classes, it's just an online class, so you're following along. Mm-hmm. And I even found something recently where it's zero to hero on how to be a ninja. Like I was looking at it because I was like, wow, what is this? When I was a kid, I would have been all over that because I wanted to be a ninja, right?
Right. I want to pop smokes and climb walls. Yeah.
So like that stuff's out there, and if you want to be a ninja, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be a samurai, go be a samurai. I mean, it's going to cost you some money.
Right. Yeah.
That's something we haven't talked about in all this either. But you don't have to have the gym membership. Then you don't have to go push weights.
Right.
You go do some martial arts, and there's a lot more tangible benefits as we've discussed.
Right. And then also, you can buy either a punching bag or something, or even if you don't have money for a punching bag, get like a $10 yoga mat or something. Roll that bad boy up and put it in a bag or something, or just hang it on the wall, and you can punch that all day. Or if you have like a pole at your house, if you have like a porch or something, I don't know, in your backyard, or even a tree, you could wrap the yoga mat around the tree, staple it to the tree, and then you're just punching that tree all day.
Or if you're the carpenter type, you can make one of those Bruce Lee Wing Chun dummies.
Right.
And you're.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So you can do that all day too, and I mean, and at home you can do a lot more practical stuff too. Like me and one of my friends, a couple of my friends, we would go to like somebody's house and we would just spar in the backyard or on the front lawn or whatever it was, and we'd just be balling each other up. Like, we wouldn't hit each other hard, because it would just be like, light sparring or whatever. And we'd just be, punching and then like go shooting our legs, takedowns or whatever, single or double takedowns or whatever, or, tripping or whatever it was. And, we just be in the backyard and still all the same safety gear, cup, mouthpiece, headgear, like whatever. I mean,
and safety is important.
Yeah, definitely gloves, right? Yeah, 'cause you definitely don't want to like be smacking your friend up in the backyard just for fun, like, especially if you don't have any medical equipment there. Like,
Like ghetto fights. Like you ever see those? Like I don't know, 10 years,
yeah,
5, 10 years back.
right, world star kind of fights. Yeah,
Yeah, sure they still got some of that. I just haven't looked at it recently.
right. So yeah, so and it wasn't like we were like fighting for real. It was training and it was sparring.
Sure,
Like
right.
and it's also probably a little bit more practical for some military guys because I'm not gonna say we weren't always intoxicated when doing it. So so it's fun too. Like
Not recommended.
I don't recommend getting blitzed and then sparring, but it helps you out. I wouldn't say it helps you out, but because I don't know many military guys that haven't been in at least one bar fight, so so and then if you're out, it
That's
helps you
that
out,
chair kung fu.
right? So it gives you that training for when you're a little not on your game. Let's say. So I mean, it's and the home training aspect is good too. Like you can really do a lot. Like I mean, I'm also like a personal trainer as well, and there's so many like kettlebell workouts, weightlifting, like follow alongs, and like yoga stretching workouts, or just like body weight exercise workouts that are on YouTube alone that you can just follow along. You're like, oh, I only got 15 minutes today. There's a 15-minute full body workout or whatever. If you want to just smoke abs or arms, it's on YouTube, and you can just follow along if you're in your hotel or whatever, even at home. Throw down that yoga mat and go at it. So
All
yeah.
right.
It's,
Did you have anything else to add? It looks like we covered quite a bit here today.
Yeah, I think we talked about everything, and I think for me, just to summarize, I once I found the martial arts again, it was like a game changer for me, and I don't think I will ever stop doing martial arts anymore. Because I mean, even with now, like I'm not doing as much like fighting martial arts now. For me, even like going to the range and working on my draw and everything else, and that kind of my movements and shooting movement, like that in itself is a martial art that nobody thinks of either. Like you have to like seriously think of, and it's even potentially more dangerous than any other martial art because you're shooting a gun, right? So that definitely keeps you focused. And even if that's your thing, like go out there, do your 20 burpees and get up and shoot your target, 5 times, move, do 20 more burpees, do your running and run back and forth or whatever. You can do all that and still like get in shape that way. Like I don't think I ever have gotten as good as a workout with the shooting thing because you're always like shoot, reset, that I would in a martial art, but it's still there. And I've seen some guys online, I forget his name. Yeah, he's a big dude. I think he used to be a ranger or something. And he's out there and he's like smoking it. He's probably doing a better workout than I ever did. And then he pops up and shoots the target. Like, he's like jumping over cars and throwing tires and, got like the Thor hammer just throwing it around the world. And like, and then he'll like pop up and like shoot and hit targets. And I'm like, all right. And then he'll like drop back down, like do more burpees and whatever. So that if that's your thing, like if you want to be outside shooting, then try to follow those guys online. There's plenty of those guys online. I wish I could think of their names right now, but I can't. That you can follow, and we'll
put something in the
description,
the information part of the video.
Yeah. So I mean that's it for me. But I mean I think it'll help you with the camaraderie, and it'll help you find a little bit of what you were missing. And
Agreed.
And the people that do martial arts are normally great people.
Yeah, 99%.
Right. Yeah. And how about you, Jeff? You got anything?
That's it today. Go out and throw some kicks.
All right, nice. All right, so see you guys. Thanks for joining us again today. It was a little special thing for us because we were both martial artists and we both realized the impact that martial arts has and the benefits that it could be or that it has for veterans. So yeah, uh, so we just went ahead and did it on our own today. And I think, thanks for watching. Come on back every week, and like Jeff said, look at the information at the bottom. We'll try to put something in there, if I could remember those, if I could find those guys again. And also just if there's anything you want to know or hear, just like I said, drop it in the comments. And thanks, guys. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Left Seat Right Seat. If you liked what you heard, just go ahead, hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget to share with your friends. And come back next week for another episode. And also follow us on Facebook and Instagram and all your other podcast venues. All right, thanks guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you again later. Bye.
See ya.